On Monday, I will commence the process set out under our Referendum Act, and I will go to Parliament and propose that the British people decide our future in Europe.
A record number of people, 46.5 million, registered to vote.
Everyone that lives in London is like a little bubble.
Banana is straight. I'm just sick of the silly rules.
We tried to turn the story of the referendum into a story about the alternative government.
The peasantry against the feudal barons.
People who went to Eton describing people who didn't as being members of the metropolitan liberal elite.
My father's never been a member of Parliament.
No, he's in the House of Lords.
You know, he's not an MP right here. Non-EU net migration to the UK is 5 times the level of EU net migration.
The fewer migrants in your area, the more likely you are to vote leave, because you've been told that the reason you can't get a house or your children can't get a house and you can't get a good job and you can't get to school is the migrants.
You can get into the hospital now, which you won't have to wait 4 hours, 5 hours.
You are more likely to be treated by an immigrant than meet one in the waiting room.
These are the demographics of immigrants. Exactly what Britain needs to support its ageing population.
Have all these immigrants in this country get what we pay for.
Only 1 in 20 immigrants claim out-of-work benefits, half the rate of British people.
We are far more united and have far more in common than that which divides us.
Jo Cox, MP for Batley and Spenborough, was attacked in Market Street, Birstall. I am now very sad to have to report that she has died as a result of her injuries.
I think the people in this country have had enough of experts.
The single most important moment in the modern history of our great nation.
If Boris Johnson looked surprised and a little shaken, that's because he was.
Then offer my resignation, so we'll have a new Prime Minister in that building behind me.
Vote Leave used Believe to funnel money to AIQ.
Almost £250,000 makes all the difference.
They could not have won without AIQ. 1.5 billion digital ads.
Hug him close? Well, the Tories have. He's one of their biggest donors, the man who made millions in Russia playing a part in politics here.
They have never given a credible explanation as to why they held it up.
Suits Russia if there is disunity in the West.
Successive governments have welcomed Russian oligarchs and their money with open arms.
All Brexit routes will leave Britain worse off.
Multi-million-pound payout, an out-of-court settlement for a botched ferry contract.
Betting fortunes on the pound falling in the event of a no deal. They're shorting the pound.
I hadn't quite understood the full extent of this. We're particularly reliant on the Dover-Calais crossing.
So the noes have it.
The deal we've negotiated is the best and indeed the only.
Tory MPs do not care about these poor people. They don't care about the NHS.
Force the NHS to buy American medicines at more expensive prices.
Whether we want really cheap and cheerful, in which case a lot of English agriculture will go to the wall.
Because it would undermine British production.
The opportunity to serve the country I love.
Get me a rope, okay?
Boris Johnson is elected as the leader of the Conservative and Unionist.
What are we, like 44 days away from Brexit? And they haven't got a clue. This is idiocy of epic proportions.
Britain's third biggest company, Unilever, has decided to move its headquarters from London to Rotterdam.
The free trade agreement should be one of the easiest in human history.
No justification for taking action with such an extreme effect.
He should be absolutely ashamed of himself.
It's the big gap isn't between these two things. It's actually between both of those and staying inside.
We have a deal that, as I say, is otherly.
Yes, this does break international law.
We're really not there yet at all.
Another deadline passes and uncertainty continues.
What does this mean for my sector?
One of the smallest parts of the UK economy. That was one of the key sticking points.
The treaty that I've just signed is not the end. It is a new beginning.
And that's how a country ends up, imposing economic sanctions on itself and celebrating the abolition of freedoms enjoyed by its own citizens.